rains when you go out, but shines when you're at home. Your Wi-Fi works perfectly until you start using it for an online interview. Your brain remembers every embarrassing moment from 2016 onwards, but forgets not just your passwords, but your usernames as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about somewhat of a psychological, scientific phenomenon, Murphy's Law. Has anyone here heard of Murphy's Law? Okay, so Murphy's Law says that if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. So it originated in the 1940s through engineer Edward Murphy during a military experiment. After a technical error caused his equipment to malfunction, he reportedly said that if there was even the slightest possibility for an error, it is bound to happen eventually. Basically, if things are bad, it's going to get worse. Now, what started off as an engineering observation quickly became a philosophy of life, more specifically, of my life. CC evaluator and fellow Gavaliers. Murphy's Law isn't theoretical to me, it's deeply personal. Things go wrong. Things go wrong with intent. Things wait until my life is at its highest stakes moment and then they act. Take buses, for example, because whether Murphy was an engineer or just a pessimist, I am convinced that he had a personal interest in public transport. You see, on normal days, I get on the 154 and I get a seat, sometimes even a window seat. The air, it feels breathable, and I love humanity. But the day I decide to carry my laptop, suddenly the bus is overflowing and I'm strategically compressed between 3 people, 2 bags, and someone's emotional instability at 7 a.m. You see, it fascinated me whether Murphy's Law actually reflected reality or if humans are just wired to experience reality that way. Psychologists call this the negativity bias, the tendency for negative experiences to impact us more strongly than positive ones because our brains have evolved to prioritize threats and discomfort. So basically, in other words, one bad bus ride emotionally outweighs 10 peaceful ones. So my sleep itself follows Murphy's Law. You see, when I have no obligations the next day, I fall asleep peacefully at 9:30 p.m. like a responsible Victorian child. But the day I need to sleep early because I have to be up the next day, my brain loses touch with the concept of sleep entirely. I am awake like that is all I have ever been, and my mind has a mind of its own. According to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, about 30% of adults experience symptoms of insomnia, which is triggered by stress. So like me, there are nearly 1 in 3 people who are also staring up at their ceiling at 2 a.m. while their brain decides to replay every rejection, every worst moment, and all those times that we told our waiters to enjoy your food too. Okay, and then there's the 154 bus at 7 a.m. I know I keep talking about it, but I need to talk about it. That bus is more than a bus, it's an emotional endurance test disguised as public transport. For me, it is a 1-hour-long journey that feels like 60 years of shared suffering. It is the only place where time doesn't pass, it actually expands out of spite. Mr. Murphy also becomes visible in public speaking. According to several surveys done on public fears, you may know that public speaking ranks as one of people's top fears, even more than death sometimes, which means statistically, people would rather be inside the coffin than outside giving the eulogy. For me, I have noticed a pattern. When I don't care about the speech, smoothest speech ever. But if I care even the slightest bit, my opening line is gone. My vocabulary has escaped. My thoughts are everywhere. You see, cognitive psychologists have a reason for this. High pressure situations overload our working memory. So when you see a speaker blank out on stage, just know that it's their brain responding to stress, which means my public speaking struggles is not incompetence, it's just neuroscience. So when I over time, I started noticing something very interesting about Murphy's Law, which is that I started subconsciously adapting my mindset around it. You see, I expect things to go wrong, not in an overly dramatic or hopeless sort of way, but just as a form of emotional preparedness. Science calls this cognitive reframing, changing the interpretation of events in order to regulate emotional response. You and I, we both do this. It's what makes our pain universal. Maybe this explains why overcrowded buses are the bane of my existence, but also simultaneously I can't stop talking about it. Because every exhausted person on the 154 at 7 in the morning is a fellow victim of Mr. Murphy. We are all having bad days that are going to get worse. We are all carrying our bags, our emotional baggage, our unrealistic expectations, while pretending to know what we're doing. So, here is the paradox of Murphy's Law. The more that I accepted that chaos, the less it bothered me. Because you'll admit, nothing feels worse than unexpected failure. But expected failure is just your average Tuesday. So now, when the buses are overcrowded, or when my sleep doesn't come, or when my speeches go a little wonky, or even when the 154 at 7 a.m. feels like a philosophical experience that I did not consent to, I don't panic. I just remember that Murphy must be working overtime. Back to you.